Hey, it's Oats here with a new Hearthstone Mercenary video. This time we are going to be covering a build that I actually kind of stole from someone I was facing last week while testing the URL build out, which was a twist on the stereotypical Lady Anaconda, Yu'lon, and Cho type builds where you're trying to get as big of a snake as humanly possible, but instead we are trying to get as many tentacles out for C'thun so we can scale him up really quickly and make him have his Mask of C'thun come off of CD incredibly quickly, while also being able to finish off the game with a Niuzao Corrupted Viscera or a late game Sylvanas that is buffed up a bunch with a Reclaimed Souls. Honestly, Cho has probably become my favorite caster mercenary in the entire game right now, mainly due to the fact that you can use him in so many different ad-based builds to make your ads survive a lot longer and let you to abuse some synergies that you might not normally be able to if you didn't use a mercenary like Cho to actually protect those ads. There is another build and another twist on a very similar idea that I kind of want to do next week, which is using Kazakus instead, where we're trying to make the Kazakus golems as big as possible and then make Kazakus as big as possible. That sounds like a really fun idea, and that might be next week's. But for this one, for the Mercenary by Mercenary Breakdown, we are using C'thun with Heart of C'thun as his equipment. And for the most part, turn 1, you are going to be using Tentacle of C'thun to get a second tentacle out so you can start scaling up the damage really quickly. And then you, for the most part, are going to start to use Mind Flight afterwards as long as you have 2 tentacles left alive until you can actually fully use a Mask of C'thun to nuke your opponent's board. Yu'lon, we are using Jade Fire Spear as her equipment just so we can actually make the additional HP on all of the Jade Flame buffets that we cast using her a little bit better. This is honestly probably going to be the ability that you're going to be using only on her. There are some cases where Jade Gust could be useful, for the most part, Jade Flame Buffet is where it's going to be, and it actually counters Valera, which is really nice. Lorewalker Cho, we are using Stash of Scrolls as his equipment to make our tentacles stay alive for much longer, and we mainly are using him for patience. If for some reason Cho gets slowed and none of your other mercenaries get slowed, you might want to swap to a knowledge where you're going to use Tail of the Mugu just so you can actually get a scaling ad that way. And now for the 4th mercenary, we have Niuzao, who we are using Eternal Torment as his equipment. And for the most part, you are going to be using Spawn of Niuzao on him every single turn, though there are some cases where if you have a really big Tentacle of C'thun, that Gift of Niuzao could be really useful because it does allow you to get the final abilities of both C'thun and Niuzao off cooldown really quickly. And finally, you might want to finish off your opponent with a Corrupted Viscera. Niuzao is the 5th mercenary on the team, and depending on who actually dies first, might actually be the 4th mercenary you put down. We are using Bullish Belt as his equipment to increase the reduction in damage taken by your mercenaries by an additional 5, but it has a cooldown of 2. This is used as a secondary version of Cho within the team, and for the most part, you are going to be swapping between Bullish Fortitude and Blessing of the Ox when it comes to his abilities. And finally, we have Sylvanas, who we are using Death Volley as her equipment. And for the most part, you're going to be using Reclaimed Souls the first turn you put her down, and then comboing it with a Banshee Bolt the following turn, or if one of your opponent's mercenaries is really low and you can actually snipe a few off of the board, you might actually want to just use for the Queen if they are attack-based mercenaries and they've been scaling that way. With that all being said, let's look at some games. Okay, so even split again. We are going to be putting down our normal 3 mercenaries. I really should have learned the order putting them down. Should have been Cho, Yu'lon, then C'thun, but oh well, it is what it is. Oh cool, it's basically the same build but with Lady Anaconda. I wonder which one's going to be stronger. The funny thing here is we are probably going to just focus down Cho because we can actually kill Cho pretty quickly. We don't really care if they can kill one of our mercenaries with a snake, because when they kill one of our mercenaries with a snake, we bring down Niuzao, and then we just steal a huge snake that can AoE nuke the entire board. As long as they don't actually go after C'thun. Going after C'thun would be the big if here. I mean, it doesn't matter too much, but just going to attack with everything here. C'thun should be 40 attack, which means we probably shouldn't have actually attacked with both tentacles into Cho, but that's perfectly fine. We're missing out on a little bit of damage, but oh well. Actually, maybe we aren't, just because of the fact that there is the Jade Fire Buffet that is becoming a huge snake. Okay, that drops it below the amount of HP needed. They are going to start to hit C'thun, which is fine. I don't really care too much. They're probably going to hit Cho with their snake. That's perfectly fine. We put down Niuzao, and then we just steal their snake next turn before it can actually attack. And we also have a 65 HP tentacle, which is really, really funny. Okay, Bane is going to steal the snake, get some increase on HP, and then I guess attack into the monkeys just to get rid of them off the board, and try to hit Lady Anacondra just so they can't spawn another snake when we have no room for it. Yes, give us a 100 plus HP snake. That's what we want to see. And now it's ours. That hits. Oh, perfect. That's exactly what we wanted to see. We're going to reset the timer on everything here, but we basically just win the game. Aw, come on, you didn't want to sit through this? Alright, so it looks like they mainly have fighters. Let's see what they actually have in store for us. Okay, Elise, Trigor, which is a little bit frustrating, and then Eudora. I'm assuming one is going to be Maestro on bench, probably a Edwin and Sneed. I haven't actually done something with pirates in quite a long time, but it looks like a fun build to try out, maybe in the future. But it is pretty solved at this point. I don't really like net decking any builds if I can help it, unless I randomly run across them in a game. Then I like to try to figure out what they're doing, and then if I didn't see the entire board, in my entire little twist. Similar to this. I only actually saw their starting lineup because they actually gave up when I faced the build that I'm using right now. Okay, so we did actually manage to kill the cannon, but our C'thun dies, which is a little bit frustrating. We are going to put down Niuzao, and then we're going to start spamming tentacles from Niuzao, I guess. Could actually buff up the tentacle on Niuzao by using it before Cho, which might be the better solution, but this also does allow us to buff up Niuzao. So, we're gonna put a bleed on all of our mercenaries. Just patience, they kill Elon. It's gonna hit Trigor, and Cho is now dead, which means we only have Niuzao and Sylvanas left to deal with. 6 mercenaries. I mean, it is possible. We just need them to be dumb enough to allow us to actually steal a golden monkey out from under them. Actually, probably not what we should do there. Probably should just spawn a tentacle. Yeah. Because the tentacle will actually just lose the ability to actually attack if it actually gets hit by Blessing of Niuzao first. We are going to use the third ability on Sylvanas, mainly due to the fact that this should at least kill Trigor no matter what this turn. We're going to heal up Trigor a little bit. And we should get really, really close to actually killing Maestra this turn too. She is at 10. I'm assuming that they were hoping that we would actually use Sylvanas' second ability there, but we didn't, so we're actually pretty good. They skipped the root phase, which means I think 2 more turns they have a golden monkey. Sneed is a little bit annoying. Let's use Blessing of the Ox, Reclaim Souls, and then Spawn of Niuzao and killing Maestra and trying to kill Elise. Because we still do want to get Elise pretty low before we actually kill her or get the golden monkey. Golden Monkey helps a lot just because of the fact that we will be able to instantly do damage the next turn before they can actually do anything, as long as it doesn't hit into something that might be a problem. Okay, our Sylvanas is not really that high attack right now. I think next turn we should probably use Corrupted Viscera to heal up Zoth to full, and then probably attack into Edwin. I don't know if I saw the win condition at this point or not. Okay, there goes Elise being real low. Should be able to get it next turn. Assisted strike, and now all we have to deal with is a Eudora, which I don't think has any direct damage, and Edwin that does technically have direct damage. I can be buffed up by this, but I don't know if it's quick enough to do. Could use Reclaim Souls again, but I think Banshee Bolt on Edwin is probably just going to be the better bet, because that means we can actually kill it. And then all we have to worry about is Eudora, and then we can finish off Eudora with their own Golden Monkey. Fortitude. They summon another cannon, which I think in theory is a good idea. I don't actually know if that scales up with the Golden Monkeys. We do hit into one of the cannons with the Golden Monkey, and then we just win the game right here because we stole their win con. Okay, time for a game with mostly fighters. That could be a little bit annoying depending on what those fighters actually are. Just going to put down our normal 3 mercenaries. Okay, so it looks like they're Beast Arcane, though I guess it doesn't matter what order that you put Nefarian and Rexar. I actually would have swapped probably Rexar and Nefarian and then just put up a taunt every single time with Rexar, at least in my opinion, though I don't know how strong that would have actually been. So they're actually just going to spawn Leorix instead. That's actually kind of an interesting plan. I wanted to do something with Rexar, but I literally just did a Arcane build before Rexar got buffed up, so I didn't really want to revisit that build already. I'm just going to put more HP. This is going to be a really hard game to actually win. Okay, that gets us a tentacle that slams itself instantly into Drygor, which is not what I wanted to see. I think technically N'Zoth is probably the best play to put down here. It chips away at Drygor each individual turn, which is always nice. Just going to try to Mind Flay, I guess. And no, we can spawn a tentacle, and then it helps us with N'Zoth. Because if we don't do this, I'm pretty sure we will just not do anything, and it's smarter to actually do something than not do anything. Okay, so they are focusing down Yu'lon. I'm perfectly fine with them focusing down Yu'lon. Oh, I guess they only needed one hit into C'thun. Guess Niuzao goes down next. Trying to think, what do we want to do here? We can use Bullish Fortitude to try do something. Then we can try to also steal the dragon before they actually hit our face. So let's see what they actually try to focus down. We don't have the taunt up, which is a little bit sad, but taking less damage is always good. We're going to put up more taunts that don't really do much here. We're going to steal one of the taunts, hit Leoric, get rid of some of the HP. We're going to kill the Zoth, then we're going to hit the Drygor. I think this is going to be one of the weird cases where we actually want to use Sylvanas' third ability. Actually no, we can actually kill Trigor using the bear we stole, I guess. And it will feed into our Sylvanas for this turn. We're gonna have to deal with everything plus the 2 on bench. One's going to be Long Shin, and I'm assuming not Lady Anacondra, Tronde. So they're actually going to try to kill the Sylvanas, which is actually the good solution for them if they actually manage to kill it this turn, but I think we should be able to protect her for an additional turn or 2. Okay, so we're just going to hit Long Shin. I know that there is a current bug going on with that mercenary where it actually hits through its death with its second ability, which is a little bit frustrating to deal with. But if we get it off of the board, then Blink Fox can't do a bunch of damage, and Ronde can't do a bunch of damage. It still amazes me that Blink Fox has been buffed up as much when there are other mercenaries that are just way worse that should be buffed up, or have equipments that basically have less stats, but they only increase the stat lines of each individual mercenary. It doesn't make any sense at this point. I'm assuming we'll probably see a bigger overhaul towards the release of the next batch of mercenaries, but you never know. Okay, so we're probably going to want to kill Blink Fox, I think, next turn, just to get it off of the board. I do want to kill Lady or Tronde. I will never get that right for some weird reason, but we can't one-shot her in a single turn. Actually, can we? No, I don't think so. That kills Blink Fox. They're going to summon a rush minion. Going to hit 2 minions. That doesn't actually do anything. Okay, so now we should just win this turn. Or maybe next turn. Okay, so it looks like I even split. Probably going to actually be Frost, I'm pretty sure. I did face this guy a lot. Frost is a matchup that's really RNG of if you're going to win or not. Mainly due to the fact if Localar doesn't hit C'thun at all, then you're in a really good position. But if it does hit C'thun, then you're in a really bad position, and they could always use Avalanche to just nuke the C'thun anyways. We're going to use Tentacle of C'thun, attack with the other tentacle, and then reorder this because I'm really dumb, and I probably should have actually just reordered this when playing it, because that would make your time a lot easier to remember. Cho goes first out of all of the 5 cost abilities. And we only got 2 hits on C'thun, which is pretty nice. Going for Localar first might be actually a mistake now that I'm thinking about it. They are focusing down Yu'lon, which is fine. I actually prefer them to focus down that out of anything. We're going to try to minimize the amount of triggers Localar is going to get. Probably also should swap the order of C'thun, because Cho is a 7 speed ability this turn. I'm going to give everything HP, attack, and we only take a little bit of damage. Nice, we didn't take any damage on C'thun himself. I'm going to attack into Localar, and then we're going to put down Niuzao because it'll prevent us from taking a bunch of damage this turn. Bullish Fortitude is always great against Localar. It's actually the reason why I started running Niuzao in this build, besides of the fact that it makes us a good secondary copy of Lord Master Cho. Localar is dead this turn. They're going to focus down Niuzao, which is fine. We're going to nuke their Varden and then hit the Jaina. This kills nothing here besides Niuzao, which is fine. We can put down N'Zoth next. Now, the question is, do I want to get really, really greedy with the C'thun, or do we want to just not get greedy? Because we can use Mask of C'thun here. Patience will do nothing, so we're probably actually going to want to use the last ability on Cho because it is a 5 speed ability, and as long as we don't use... Oh, I guess we missed it. There was another game where I actually remembered to use it. Okay, so they didn't actually use what I would expect them to use there, but they did use First Stomp. I guess they wanted to make sure everything was lower. They got a little bit greedy, which helped out in our favor. Then I guess we put down Sylvanas next turn. And then we should just win out right here. Don't know actually what we're going to have as the last mercenary. Ah, Sinestra. Okay. So we're going to want to use Mind Flay on Jaina, I think. Use Reclaim Souls, and then use Corrupted Viscera. Because Sinestra doesn't do anything for an entire turn, so keeping her alive isn't that big of a deal. Okay, there's Endurance Aura. I'm gonna nuke everything here. Doesn't kill everything I want. Get a tentacle anyways. And then next turn we should just be able to finish them off. The Sylvanas isn't as big as I hoped it would be, but it is what it is. We do have an 80 attack C'thun, so who cares really. Just spawn in our tentacle and then try to kill the Cairn before it actually gets anything out. Alright, now that we're through the games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the build. Overall, this build actually performed pretty well. It does have a clear weakness to local art, which means it isn't the best build in the world. However, most other teams that you face, you're going to actually have a pretty good time using this build. Honestly, what I've been using to actually climb back up to where I was last month, which was around 12k, though I haven't made my way all the way back up to that point. It was a decent climbing build for the way all the way up to around 8k, where I am currently within Hearthstone's Mercenaries, which means this is an easy build for me to recommend. However, if you did not actually do the C'thun event, you won't have any way to actually play this build, and you could in theory just change out C'thun for a Lady Anaconda. It's a very similar build, just with a little bit of a different twist on it. And like always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.